Welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast, and this episode is proudly brought to you by Betovo. Before we get stuck into this week's episode, we're going to give a big shout out to our sponsors. Introducing a proper raw men's fashion brand that has untamed energy inspired by relentless warriors while remaining cheeky and rebellious. Simeon Saboteur is not just about style. This brand is a movement and a rebellion against the ordinary. This clothing is crafted for those that face life head on. Our new collection fuses classic design with modern edge. If you want to express your true warrior identity, strength and boldness, then join our tribe of real modern men. Explore our collection of casual wear, active gear and statement pieces that are as unique as you are. Our new collection is now live, and as a special treat for our Criminal Connection podcast crew, use this fantastic discount code BANANA5 on the checkout for an exclusive 5% discount off your first order. Visit www.simeonsaboteur.com. Check them out in the link below. I want to say a massive shout out to our sponsors, VIP Security Services. VIP Security Services have been running for 35 years. They offer security solutions for our Essex, London and all the home counties. VIP Security Services will protect you, your home and your business. Prevention is always better than cure, and you're in safe hands with VIP Security Services. So if you'd like to find out about any of our fabulous sponsors, make sure you check out the links in the description below.
Without further ado, bring the man onto the stage. He's coming into the driving seat. He's even got himself a posher coloured chair than these two boys. We're becoming great friends. Give it up for Terry Stone. Come on, Terry! I'm going to nick your seat, Terry. You're in this one here. I'll just give you that.
Tonight, it's the first time we've ever done, I suppose you could call it a live podcast tour. And we're actually a year old next week. And we've got a very special guest for our year anniversary who will be revealed next week. So I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. And without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Lee Chapman and Mr. Betovo Mahoney to the stage. What side do you want to sit on, Lee? Left or right? Sit there. Okay. So I want to just start off by saying, welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast. And today, we haven't got one, we've got two really exciting guests. I suppose you could call them the real Essex Boys, the survivors. On my right, Betovo Mahoney. On my left, Mr. Lee Chapman. So please put your hands together for Lee Chapman and Betovo Mahoney in the house. So I've got to start off, Bernie. Bernie was our first guest, and I've known Bernie for, I'll probably say about 15 years. I met him when I wanted to make a film called Bonded by Blood, and he'd written a book called Bonded by Blood, and at the time, and probably to the present day, Bernie's covered, the murders and the Essex Boys prolifically, and I rang him up and I said, Bernie, you don't know me, but I want to give you some money for your book and make a film with you. And he probably thought, what a load of bollocks. I've heard this a million times. No film's going to get made, but we did make it. And it went out and we had a good time and we become good friends. We've worked together on numerous other things. And then out of the blue, in COVID, I get a call. We're doing Rise of the Foot Soldier Origins. Bernie's involved. Vinnie Jones is playing Bernie. And I was like, this is great. So then we got reunited in COVID. And then, a couple of years later, I rang him up and said, Bernie, have you ever done a podcast? He went, no. And I said, why not? And he said, I just don't do them. He said, I think they're muggy. I said, why don't you come on my one? It won't be muggy, it'll be really good. So he trusted me. And Bernie was their first guest on the Criminal Connection podcast. So thank you, Bernie, for being numero uno. But going back to, obviously, anybody that's watched the podcast or listened to it will know bits of your story. But I think everybody likes the Essex Boys, and obviously you was there. And there's lots of myths and legends and rumours and whatever. But we'd just love to hear a bit about your experiences, you know, when you sort of first come into contact with them.
Well, is this switched on, yeah? I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but when you see them in the films, you know, they've got all these flash cars and swimming pools and beautiful women, and Lee will confirm that the beautiful women's definitely not true. Basildon struggles with beautiful women. But, you know, I don't like all that gangster crap and all that sort of stuff. I just think you kind of fall into it, you know. I come out of prison. Well, I didn't. I went on the run, ended up in South Africa, ended up in prison there, and then escaped from there and came back to this country and they locked me up. And when I come out of prison, I ended up in Basildon, and I was just driving trucks and just General Joe, really, do you know what I mean? And I was struggling for money, and this Keith Bonza, the manager of Rackhills, offered me a job there, and I just started working there, and it was a proper shithole, do you know what I mean? The people who went in there either wanted to fuck each other or fight each other, that was it. There was no in-between. And I didn't like the way it was being run, you know. You would have like the local hard men who got their reputation in the playground, thought they could take it to their grave. And because all the doormen were local, if the doorman tried to put them out, they'd put it on the doorman, you know, like the local nutcases. And the doorman would just think, it ain't worth it for 40 quid a night. If I chuck him out or ban him, he's going to come round and burn my house down. It just ain't worth the ag. And I thought differently. I thought, well, if you're here to do the job, do it right. And so things got really, really violent for a short period of time. And the head doorman who was there at the time, who I worked for, he walked out because this guy, they'd gone in a normal pub across the road, and the doorman had threw one of these guys out and broke his shoulder or his arm or something. Anyway, these guys come in the pub with like tool bags, and there was 4 or 5 of them. They sat at different seats. And then, you know, they give some sort of signal. They jumped up, they had machetes in the bag, and they chopped the doorman and give him a good hiding. And one of them came into the club the next night, and I thought, you can't have this, you know what I mean? He's just chopped one of our mates up. And I said to the head doorman, you can't, you know, this ain't on. And he went, it just ain't worth the ag. So when this guy come out the toilets, somebody hit him with a big water jug and squirted him, and he ended up blind in one eye, which is, you know, shame. And he left and never came back. And the manager said to me, you know, I'll give you the door. And that was probably the worst decision of his life. Because we got rid of all the dross and everything else. And then sort of rave music arrived. And with rave, you can't have violence. It's all about love and peace and drugs, you know what I mean? So promoters then heard that Rackhills had become a peaceful club. No, there was ag, but it was behind the scenes, but not with the punters, you know what I mean? So they then came into Rackhills, and I looked around at the doorman I had, and no disrespect to them, but they were just local 40 quid a night guys, you know what I mean? And they all had this fear of the local hard men, so I thought, I'd met Tony Tucker at Epping Country Club socially, and he sort of had a good reputation and quite a big door firm. And I said to him, can I, you know, we'll go into partnership at the club, and I'll have some of your doormen from the East End and Romford and places like that. And they don't care about these reputations because they've never heard of these people. So that's what we did, and it started off really well. And it descended into insanity, really, over a short period. Because that's something about the Essex. I mean, I hate the term Essex Boys firm, because it's not true. We're just people who knew each other, you know. We didn't sit there saying, oh, what should we call ourselves? But
I think the Basildon Boys sounds better.
Yeah, the Basildon Boys. And, you know, people think they were running this and running that. They weren't. I mean, Pat Tate came out of prison in June or July 94. So let's give him June. He got shot in November 94 by a nipper. So June to July to August, September to October to November is 5 months. So he's been out of prison 5 months, he's been shot once. And then he's gone back into prison because they found a gun in his hospital bed. Came out of prison, he was shot dead 6 weeks later. So he only had sort of 6 months on the scene. People think, well, this gang what was running around for years. It was 6 months, that was it. I mean, I'm not the most well-liked person on the planet, but you've got to go some to get shot by 2 different people in 6 months, do you know what I mean? You've got to be a special kind of arsehole.
Well, Bernie's not been shot once. I mean, you've been shot up and stabbed, but not shot.
I've been stabbed a few times, but never shot.
But when you was, because obviously when people talk about the Essex Boys, like you said, Bernie, they talk about Tony Tucker, they talk about Pat Tate, they talk about Craig Rolfe, and obviously they talk about your friend Carlton Leach.
Anyone asks any questions, I don't believe in running a guy down if he's not here. So, I just want to say that I'm not going to stoop to his level.
But we don't need to do that. But all I'm saying is when you talk to people, if you talk to people about the Essex Boys, they always pull up those 4 names. Yeah. And obviously they talk about you. Obviously Lee's been mentioned, and there's other people that have been mentioned along the way. But when you knew Tony, was him and Rolfie, was it more like a 2-act?
Well, Pat obviously wasn't on the scene at the time, but Tony was a nice guy initially, but he did like to use people. Do you know what I mean? It's like he wouldn't go and do a drug deal. He'd just send Rolfie, and he wouldn't dirty his hands. You know what I mean? With drugs, I mean, he would just send Rolf. So he was his gopher, and he'd drive him about. But it suited them both because wherever Tony was, there were drugs. And so Rolf had a bit of a coke habit. So it suited him to be around Tony, and it suited Tony to be around Craig because he ferried him around everywhere, do you know what I mean? But that's what happens in life, isn't it, Lee? You know what I mean?
And with you, Lee, how did you meet Bernie?
Well, I lived in Basildon, and Rack Hills was probably the only place open. So, I met him there and through Tony as well. So.
And what was your memories of the Essex Boys? Obviously, Bernie's just given us a little insight, but from your perspective.
Yeah, well, I go back when I was 43 years. That's when I met Tony. I was doing the door in Southend. I just won a few competitions, and I was working in the sports centre. So the guy there said, come and do some door work. And I didn't even know what door work was, So I got there, I was 17. Tony was coming down the stairs. He'd wear these suits that made him even look broader than what he was, you know what I mean? And he was just a generally nice guy, We worked with each other for probably about 9 years, And then I went off I fell out with one of the managers, his friends. He turned up, said to me, get the manager. Well, you don't talk to people like that. So I told him off. But what he was doing, he was saying that to me because he wanted to offer me a job because he thought I handled him well. So anyway, I got the sack. I went to Hollywood's Romford. And then Tony got the sack about 6 months later. So I said, Tony, come, Hollywood's. It's a brilliant place. So he came there, and he was nothing. Everybody kind of looked at him and shunned him off. They didn't, he was just another guy with long hair, pretty boy, And that was it. And he worked there. And then Hollywood's Ipswich opened up. So they said, Lee, please take a team and go over there. So I did. Tony rang me about, months later and said, listen, I've taken over the door. The guys that were running the door, he just pissed them off. So I said, you have Ipswich, I'll have Romford. I went, yeah, no problem. We used to meet at Boreham Wood. He'd give me the wages, no problems. But in the day, he was a funny, good guy, massive hands. That's one thing I noticed about him. His hands were huge. And we got in a lot of scrapes together. But besides that, I knew him when he was nothing, nobody.
And what did you see? I mean, did you see he started off at one level, and then did you was it the drugs that obviously tipped them all over the edge?
Well, Romford was quite notorious for drugs. So when he took over Romford, I think that came with the package. You know, he slowly got into it. I went to the Epping Forest Country Club for his engagement, and there he was. He had leather trousers on. I don't even see him in that white. He had a white leather jacket with frills on.
Quite like a country and western singing. It was quite tragic.
This guy was like Batman. His wardrobe, because I've been around his house, he just had the same clothes, jeans, T-shirt, jeans. Then see him at the Epping Forest Country Club, giving it all the... I just looked at him. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and she went to me, I went, do you want to go? She went, yeah. But he was telling everybody that he loved them. He had cowboy boots on. He had these black leather trousers, this shirt that looked like he'd just come out of a Y50, and this white jacket with all frills and everything. And I was just thinking, is that really him? And we just left, and that was kind of the last time I had anything to do with him as such, other than meeting him with the wages.
You must have some stories, though. Have you got any Pat Tate stories, or was it mainly Tony?
The only Pat Tate I trained with in Progress House in Hadley, and he'd been there a couple of times, and the manager, Connor, his name was, he said, Lee, Jimmy Connors, that's it. He said to me, Lee, can you have a word with him? I don't want him in this gym. So I said, yeah, what's the matter? He goes, he abuses people, he tells people to get off the benches. And so I said, yeah, of course I'll have a word with him. But it never came around in the end. But with Tony, he came to the club when we opened, and he set the house alight with his friends. And the other time I did building work with him. And I heard this banging, crashing, because we was knocking this pub down. And it went quiet. So I thought, what's going on? I went down, he was sound asleep on the stairs. So and I had a rat. Oh, that was a funny one as well. I had a rat, and he came around my house to buy the weights off me. So I said, yeah, company came in, and I forgot to mention that my rat runs around in the gym that I've got. And my rat, I used to give it some stuff and dog food. So it was the size of a guinea pig. Anyway, so Tony went in there, and I was having a bit of a row with my girlfriend at the time, and I had to scream and bang and no, what's the matter? There's a giant rat in there, and he was like wetting himself. And I went, don't worry, he's not going in there. So just general stuff like that, really. You know, you just
right,
funny.
So there you hear it. Tony Tucker was frightened of rats. But did you see him do anything bad to anybody when you was?
Well, we had a few rows, but we basically did together. You know what I mean? Like a team would come in, and we'd end up throwing them out and little fights and stuff. He'd always slap people because he had such big hands. But he never went out of his way to be violent or anything, you know, not at all, no.
Yeah, because it's funny because, in some of the movies, he's portrayed as being, all three of them actually being like spiteful bullies. I mean, there was the thing where Craig Rolfe, Kevin Whitaker.
Yeah, well...
And that was a terrible story.
As I said, it all happened over a very, very short period of time, 6 months, right? And when Tatey came out, he had a serious drug problem, do you know what I mean? And it was crack and shit like that, do you know what I mean? And Tucker had never been involved with it. He'd had ease and crap like that, do you know what I mean? But he'd never took crack or anything like that. And it was when they took that, they just turned overnight into absolute arseholes, you know what I mean? They'd just walk up to people in the club, you got any pills for sale? And the kids would go, yeah, slap, take them off him, and just bullies, really. Do you know what I mean?
It's all alien to me. I remember Tony when he never drunk, he just drank water, never tea, coffee, nothing like that, well fitness. You know what I mean? We used to talk about judo and weightlifting and all that stuff. He was a white health person.
Jimmy Connors, who you mentioned, who run the gym, he was related to Sarah, who lived with Pat.
Ah.
They were related. And nobody ever knows why it happened and when it happened, but that Nipper Ellis is alleged to have burgled Jimmy's gym and stole stuff out of it. And Pat was friends with Nipper at the time, got it in his head that Jimmy was trying to set Nipper up. And Jimmy's in the gym and it's locked and he's banging on the door.
Should have put a rat in there.
And he's opening the door and Pat's standing there with a gun, pointing it at him.
Right.
And he starts crying. And Jimmy's going, what's the matter, Pat? And he just turned around and done one. No one ever knows what his intention was. But he was that messed up on drugs, he was he weren't right. He was never right. And he led the other two to their deaths, really. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, obviously, with Craig Rolfe, you know, with the Kevin Whitaker incident, he actually went, because he owed money, didn't he, Kevin?
Well, that was another thing that they give him. He got in debt for $2,000 to Russell Tate, not Pat. And they give him a parcel of gear to take to Romford to sell to someone who I know, but I won't mention. And they ripped him off because he was just like a general Joe, do you know what I mean? They nicked the gear off him and Tucker wanted his money. They put him in the car. They said, we're taking you to Romford. We're going to confront you, these people. And Rolfe was a spiteful, twisted little bastard, really. Do you know what I mean? And he was going, if you want our drugs, you can have some. And he was forcing him to take drugs. But he'd done that to his own brother. And I'll tell you another one they'd done it to in a minute. And basically, Whitaker overdosed. They didn't mean to kill him, he just overdosed. So they dumped him in a ditch. But when Pat split up with Sarah, she asked her friend to ask her boyfriend to help her move her stuff because she was being put in an hostel, a women's refuge. And Pat found out this man had moved her and they kidnapped him off the street, took him to an house, burning him with cigarettes, forcing him to do coke, tortured him, and they dumped him naked on his front garden. You know what I mean? It's just bullshit. What you just wouldn't do that to someone. You know what I mean? But that's what they ended up like. They would.
And you said Craig injected his own brother with drugs.
Well, he didn't inject him. What he did, he thought.
So Craig's brother now calls himself Brian Richardson. Yeah.
Brain damage, I call him.
I spoke to him a couple of weeks back. He rang me.
I've never met him. I've never seen him. I've never spoken to him. I didn't know he existed.
But he keeps popping up. So tell us a bit about Brian Rolfe, because
I don't know anything about him, but except for when Craig tried to kill him.
I mean, that's what happens, right? Your brother fucks you off and you just kill him, right?
Brian was asked to lend his car to his brother Michael to move some gear. And when Michael turned up and they were loading it in the car, the police were filming it from a house across the street. So it's fairly obvious he's grassed them up. So Craig has rung Brian up and said, oh, we're going to rob this, a grow or rob someone anyway. So he said, be around the house at night, 9 o'clock or something. So Brian's turned up and they said, oh, we'll have to wait, you know, till it gets dark or whatever. And he goes, have a bit of speed while you're waiting. And he mixed it with Ribena and put it in a cup. Anyway, Brian drank it. And when he woke up, it was snowing in the house, he thought. He'd like give him loads of drugs in this cup, and they'd beat him. And he ended up, he doesn't remember, but he ended up in his mother's house. And Craig had tried to kill him, you know.
Wow. I mean, that's crazy. And what did he say to you, Lee, when he spoke to you the other week?
Well, he just rang me up and said, yeah, do you want some Ribena? No, he said, he just wanted to meet up with me and asked me about his brother. See, the weird thing is, he says really nice things like he really loves his brother and all that stuff, but on the other hand, you've got the feeling that there's something a little bit dodgy there, you know? But he wants to meet up, we have a beer, just talk about his brother. So,
I mean, he's openly saying that the police killed the Essex Boys. I mean, he's actually said that. And he keeps saying it, and it's a bizarre statement to make because.
But what you know, why would the police want to kill them three? Right, this is true, right? They found the Range Rover. The driver's disqualified, so he hasn't even got a license. The Range Rover's not taxed, and it's on the book.
But don't tell me he didn't have any MOT as well.
But, you know, this ain't Pablo Escobar, you know what I mean? They're just free...
Sounds like Del Boy.
Free chances.
I think if it was the police, they would have just made them vanish. They wouldn't have left them down there.
The police in the army don't shoot people with shotguns, you know what I mean?
What I'm saying is, if it was them, they would have just took the bodies away. You would never even... You'd be going, where are they now? Then who killed them?
I mean, Tate had only been in prison 6 weeks. you've got like the Addams Family and serious villains. You know, if the police are going to take someone out, they take someone out like that.
There was quite a few people being killed off just before they died.
Well,
I mean, it's crazy to think there's probably been 100 books about the Essex Boys. There's probably been 30 films. And if you think December the 6th, 1995, you know, it's almost 30 years ago and it's still going on.
well, that's partly my fault because
Bernie.
when John Womes approached me and said, look, you know all the people, I don't know any of them, we're trying to get my brother out. I said, all right, you know, we'll do it. And it's kind of unique in a way because if you look on the internet for famous murders or infamous murders, there's none that had like all the statements, all the crime scene photos, all the, you know, it was interesting shit, do you know what I mean? So it got like a big sort of following from there. But the problem is that John never, ever gave... If you actually look at the evidence on the internet, it's all the defence, like the defence summing up at the trial and all. There's no prosecution stuff. So a lot of people now think they've read the evidence, thinking they've read all the evidence, but they haven't even read half of it. They all think that they're innocent, do you know what I mean? But it's because they were mugged off, really.
Well, I had Holmes and still come to the club. They used to come to the club with their wives or girlfriends or whatever they were. And they used to queue up. They had suits on. They were smart and they stood out. So I used to let them in, you know, come in, get them in a VIP. And they came in quite a few times and, you know.
They're not as clever as they think. Yeah. I mean, Steele especially, everyone thinks he's really clever. But I was there at the Court of Appeal. They were arguing, saying, well, there's no snow on the Range Rover. So it could have only been there like for a few hours. And he's at the back of the court, Mr. Intelligent. He's going, no. The reason there's no snow on the Range Rover is because we washed it with glycerine 2 weeks before.
He's dropped himself in it.
It stops ice forming, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's a fucking retard, I think. I really do. I mean, some of the stuff he comes out of is just...
I mean, you know, there's been a massive campaign that obviously Mickey Steele and Jack Womes are innocent. There's obviously, I remember when we made Bonded by Blood, John phoned me up and said, Terry, why are you making this film? You know, my brother is innocent, he wants to get out of jail. This is going to basically, you know, throw him under a bus. And I said, John, in the film, we're going to leave it open-ended so that, you know, was it then, was it not? You know, so we actually was doing him a massive favour by not saying who did it. But I think, you know, the only people that really do know were obviously the people that were in the Range Rover. But I know you did say...
well, I disagree with you, Terry, because the evidence is it's concrete, do you know what I mean?
But what I'm saying
people
is,
haven't got access to it.
But what I'm saying is you've got lots of people that are advocates from being innocent. And what I'm saying is obviously you've seen the evidence, and I think when we spoke about it, you said that he did have an alibi, but then when they zoned in on the alibi, that it was actually, he didn't have an alibi because of the, was it that he was watching the telly or something, wasn't he?
What happened was, like the police had never used telephone evidence before, cell sites and all that. And this copper come up with the idea of this cell site evidence. So Steele and Womes remained no comment. And then they got charged, they got shipped off to jail. And then the prosecution served the evidence on them, and they thought, shit. Like Jack was going, I've never been to Retton. I've never, ever been there. I don't even know where it is, in his interviews. And they went, well, that's funny, because your phone's there on the night of the murder at the time. So they had to go away and cobble together a story, what fitted the prosecution's telephone evidence and all the rest of it. And it was absolute nonsense, do you know what I mean? You know, for instance, Jack Womes said he'd been asked to pick up Nichols's car, the Supergrass, and it was broken down on the pub next to the crime scene, right? And So it's snowing in December, and it's 6, 7 o'clock at night, pitch black, and you take a trailer from Ipswich to Rettendon, which is probably 50 miles, isn't it, Lee? In the dark, in the snow, and then when you get there, you put the car on, you take it all the way back to Ipswich. You just say, I ain't doing this in the dark, I'm doing it in the morning, do you know what I mean? But he said that's where he was, and it's just bullshit, do you know what I mean? He was there killing them, he weren't picking no car up. And everyone goes, there's no forensic on the car, no forensic, no fingerprints. Well, that's a really bad thing, actually, because after the murders, Jack sold that car to this guy, Kennedy. And he said, in his statement, he said, I went through the car to fix it because he reckons it was broke down. And I changed the oil and I did this and then I drove it to Kennedy's. Right, so he's working with oil in a car. He's driving it, but they didn't find a single fingerprint or a mess. He's obviously cleaned it before he's got rid of it, do you know what I mean? And when they say there's no forensic, they go, well, that's quite a damning thing to be, do you know what I mean? Because he's wiped it clean.
I think, so this is the other thing, because people only read stuff online, or they only hear a certain narrative.
Well, I'm a millionaire if you read online.
Oh yeah, but Bernie's actually the Bill Gates of the Essex Boys.
I made millions out of them films, Terry.
When you met Jack and John Williams, because Mickey Still, because was John really around much, or was he just the sort of, was he out the way?
Just one little more myth to pop. Everyone goes, oh, Jack's just a simple mechanic, right? And they're all country boys from Ipswich, Suffolk. Well, I'm not trying to plug me book, right, but this is true. The father was done for manslaughter. Jack, numerous assaults because he was the head doorman at a clubbing thing. And when he said he's never been to Rettendon, in 1991, I think it was, he drove from Ipswich to Rayleigh, which is near the murder scene, with a Range Rover and a speedboat to take his family to dinner, right, at 10 o'clock at night in the Hungry Horse. And while he was in there, the boat and the Range Rover went missing. It got stolen. It was like an insurance thing, do you mean? And he's telling the police 4 years later, he don't know where that is. He's never heard of it, do you know what I mean? And this fuck knows how long boat and this Range Rover's gone missing from the pub where 4 years later, him and Steele...
It's a weird place to steal a boat and a Range Rover.
Honestly, they're really not clever. I'm not clever, but they are definitely not clever, do you know what I mean?
And anybody out there wants to buy a Range Rover and a boat, sue me later.
But it's like when the Betts thing happened, when Leah Betts collapsed, right? There's loads of myths about that. People believe she was in the nightclub when she took the pill and collapsed. She was nowhere near the nightclub. I banned her 6 weeks earlier because what happened was I was with Tucker, we was upstairs, me and Tucker, and the barmaid come up and she goes, oh, there's a girl kicking off downstairs, she's underage. So I didn't care what age you were, do you know what I mean? As long as they behaved. The 30-year-olds behave worse than the bleeding 20-year-olds, you know what I mean? So I went downstairs, we took her and I said to the girl, you got ID? She goes, my dad's a policeman. I said, I don't care what he is. If you ain't got ID, you got to get out, you know what I mean? So she's going, the barmaid stole my purse. The barmaid stole my purse because it doesn't matter, you got to get out. So we put her out, right, and she was banned. And then 6 weeks later was her 18th birthday party. And at the time, all kids wanted pills instead of beer, do you know what I mean? And her dad was a policeman. He said, have the party on my farm, which was 25 miles from Rackhills, and invite all your friends from college, but no alcohol. It's an 18th birthday party, do you know what I mean? So what's she going to go for? She sent her friends into Rackhills and they bought some pills, I don't know how many they bought. Took them to her house, and on the day of her birthday, she overdosed and sadly died, do you know what I mean? And as soon as that happened, Tucker, gone, disappeared, do you know what I mean? Couldn't get hold of him, and he just left me holding the bathwater, you know what I mean? And that's what he was like. He just fucking done what he wouldn't.
And I mean, how hot was it working there? I mean, obviously, you know, they knew the drugs had been sold in the club. Obviously, Dad, Paul Betts, obviously a police officer. I mean, was it pretty hot? I mean, did they come and arrest all the doormen or?
No, people slaughter me, right? As soon as the police come on the Friday, was it the Friday or Saturday, whatever day it was? They've got this leaflet with this picture of the girl with all tubes in her mouth. And she's 18, for fuck's sake, you know what I mean? And they said, we need to get hold of the pill, because at the time in the paper, they were all saying it was poison. Like somebody put poison in the pills, but it turned out they were pure in the end, do you know what I mean? And they said, we're trying to get hold of one. I said, I'll get you one. And people going, what? You're fucking going to give the police? I was fucking right. It's a girl who's dying. It could be your daughter, my daughter. You know what I mean? And they go, you can't do that because I'm fucking doing it. I don't care. I ain't going to let a kid die if it can help you, you know what I mean? And that caused a lot of ag, but I'd do it again. I ain't got a problem with that, you know what I mean? You can't go to bed and know some kid's dying and you could help her, but you can't be asked, you know what I mean? It's not me.
And did they catch the actual guy who was selling the drugs? Did they actually got the guy?
When Leah collapsed, she named two of her friends, Stephen Smith and Stephen Chapman, and they were nicked and were on bail. And the same weekend that Leah collapsed, Mickey Steele imported the drugs into this country, and they were duff, they were shit. Do you know what I mean? So, and Pat Tate crashed his Porsche the same weekend as well. So Tucker's jumping about, fucking pulling his hair out. Do you know what I mean? Because when you went to Rackhills on the aftermath of Leah collapsing, it was fucking scary. So that was the wall of the club, and there's the doors, the entrance. We're all standing on the door, and across the street there was Sky News, Scandinavian News, the BBC, all these TV trucks lined up just filming us. So there was no dealers in the club, there's no customers in the club. And Tucker's going, how the fuck am I meant to miss importation with all this spotlight on us? He goes, you've got to sort it out. And I goes, well, how are we going to sort it out? He goes, well, we need the media to know who these people are, who's been nicked, but they wouldn't name them. They said they'd arrest them, but they wouldn't name them. So one of them rang me up, a kid called Chapman, and he said, I hear you looking for me. I goes, why would I look for you? And he said, because I'm the kid who's been nicked for the drugs. I said, I told Tucker, and Tucker said, you can get him to meet you. Get the media to photograph him and the problem will go away. And that's what we did, but the problem didn't go away.
And where was you, Lee, when this was you up in Ipswich?
Yeah, well, the Rackhills incident, yeah, I was up in Ipswich. I'd been up there about 3 years or something. Then the Leaseys, who owned the clubs at the time, said, we want you to go back to Romford. And they wouldn't tell me why. They said, go back to Romford, get your team, go back to Romford. So I took a few guys from Ipswich back there. And when I got there, there was people doing coke on the tables and looking at me going, do you want some? And I went, what? And then we were searching people, and they were handfuls of these, and it just went crazy, you know. I was looking at my other DSs, and they were going, what the hell's happened? Because when we went from there, there was nothing, you know, nothing at all. But occasional. But then when we came back, it was ripe, you know, it was like absolutely crazy. So,
and I mean, both of you were you know, running doors, head doorman. How did you cope? I mean, what could you do to stop it? Or was it just part of the job? People, you had to turn a blind eye to it?
No. We would give them a good idea if we caught them with these, you know.
Told them off, yeah?
I told them off, yeah. There was one guy, he was a doorman from Great Yarmouth. And I was searching him because someone told me he had a load of drugs on him. I couldn't find none. It was in his hand. So one of my DSs took it upon himself to tell him off badly. So we had a big court case because he was in a bad way. We got off with it, done that. But every night we was having trouble with these, you know. And at the end of the night, there'd be little white bags everywhere. I caught 2 Metropolitan Police with pain on them. What I'd done was someone said, oh, they're doing something in the toilet. So we went in there. We used to quit bogging up.
Did you walk in there and go, hello?
Is that your trunk? we used to do this bogging up. We used to stand in the middle, me and my mate Keithy boy. We used to stand in the middle of the cubicles, just waiting. And then people would come in, we'd look over the top. They'd either be doing coke or they'd be taking E's. And they didn't realise how we caught them, you know. As they came out, we went, come with us. And they'd come with us. Some of them would have white down their tops. Go, what? We ain't got nothing, we ain't got nothing. But that was Romford. Romford just turned in a minute, you know what I mean?
Records was different to that. I mean, this is what been my argument. They were saying to me I was a heinous person for turning a blind eye, right, to drug dealing. But the manager used to produce flyers with smiley faces on and sell no beer, just sell water. I go, and he doesn't know it's fucking going on. And the licensing police, Andy Ford, arsehole, right? They used to be at Rackles every night because I've never seen anything like it. I've got a newspaper clipping where they say there's 100 people fighting in the street outside. You know, that's a big fight, do you know what I mean? And they were there every night, but when the E's came in, you never saw them. So the police were happy because there was no ag. The manager was happy because he was making a fortune selling water.
Well, we were going to get
when
raided.
the shit hit the fan, it was all my fault, do you know what I mean?
We were getting raided. There was about 6 vans outside, and they were all putting their stuff on and all that. And I looked. We used to have a fire exit open because it was hot. And my mate called me, look. I looked over, and there was about, I don't know, 30, 40 police. And so we knew they were going to raid us. So I went, right, everyone round, I want loads of drug dealers. I want them all. I want anybody and anything. So they piled all these guys, it was probably about 8 or 9, and they piled them out the exit, and I called the police, and they came up, arrested, took them away, everything was all quiet. They didn't raid us in the end, they just drove off. But the managers said to us, I don't want to know. You know, they just didn't want to know. If we caught a dealer, they just wanted it kept really quiet. They didn't want the aggro.
We had this Welsh manager come, right? Dave Sims, and he was dead against rave music, and he goes, I'm going to have like Motown, it was Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, right? I went in the office and I thought they were the cleaners when I first went in there. And I went, what the fuck are you doing? He said, we're going to have Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. And I said, you're not. And he said, yeah, we are. I said, you're not. I'm telling you, you're not, right? So on the night of this Martha Reeves, everyone who comes to the door, he can't come in, can't wear blue shoes, can't wear black shoes, can't wear... The club was empty, right? And I had a conversation with him. I said, when you come in, just go in the office, sit in there, watch the fucking telly, do what you want, but don't get involving yourself in the club. And that was a bad point, really, but that's what he did. You never see him come out the office ever again. So it was just Tucker and other people who were just overseeing the club, and the lunatics took over the asylum, you know what I mean?
And working, where would you say was where you saw the most violence, Lee, when you was on the door?
Have to be Bedford.
See, I thought Bedford was a nice place.
Well, it's full of gangs, so once one starts, they all start. And most of the guys have got their bracelets, you know, the big heavy bracelets on, and they use them as knuckle dusters. So we tried to stop them coming in the clubs, but we used to have fire exit open, and then they'd be handing them into their friends. But so Bedford was the worst place I've ever worked. But it was the nicest place in a way because the club was amazing. You know, he bought it for $1 million, sold it for $8 million about 2 years later. I mean, it was a lovely club. It was so busy, you know. But lots of gang warfare. And
obviously we had Mick Kelly on the podcast. Did you meet Mick? Was you work with Mick?
Mick was one of my closest friends. You know, we started off together. I remember when we got invited to Hollywood's Romford to the grand opening, as in it wasn't just finished being built. So they invited us in to show us around. And Mick was one of the first guys with Neville. And then we had a few other guys. But me and Mick are real great friends. We keep in touch all the time. So, yeah, lovely guy, good guy.
Did you work with Mick as well?
How can I say this? If I've been polite.
Do you not like Mick? You not?
I don't really know him, but
okay.
I had a bit of trouble with this called Gaffer, right? Who in his book, he reckons he's the most feared man in the country or something. He's not one of them clowns, proper clowns, you know what I mean? And I was out with my then wife, who's now deceased, and he squirted me. He was like Leach's right-hand man, according to Leach, right? And he squirted me with ammonia, and this knife appeared from somewhere, and he run away, and it was Mick who rang the police because it was outside his club. So that was my only involvement with Mick.
Right, but
he nearly got me locked up.
But what happened with Gaffer then? What?
Well,
was that because you threw him out, or was he?
No, he was really close friends with Leach. And I don't know why, but my best friend Gavin Spicer was at Tucker's funeral. And Leach went up to him and went, "I've got a problem with your mate." And Gav went, "Well, what are you telling me for? What do you mean?" "Got a problem with him, tell him." And because Gaffer was Leach's mate, he thought that he should do something about it, do you know what I mean? But, I mean, he was a proper f***ing div. He started going out with, Tucker's, I'll have to not be rude, I'll call her Monkey Mouth Garwood, not his proper missus, his like teenage mistress, do you know what I mean? And Gaffer started going out with her after Tony was dead, so he thought he was Tony in the end, you know? He's a fucking clown. But that's all it was. He was just involving himself in something that was nothing to do.
I remember going around Tony's, he said, "I'm leaving my wife." So I said, "Okay, come give me a hand to move out." So we went round there. All he took was his record player. He couldn't get no more. She was so violent. She was throwing things at us. Oh, the language. She could have done the door, she could have. So we got it all out. And he was just sitting there in my car with his record player. And that was it.
Was that Donna?
No, that was Marie. Was it Marie? Mary or Marie, wasn't it? His first wife, wasn't it?
She was mad as hell, she was. But he just went and get his record player.
And when you was in Southend, because you used to work at Tots as well, didn't you?
No, I got cut in Tots.
Oh, that was right. Okay.
Yeah, I was at Fantasies.
So was you there on a night out when that happened?
Yes, yeah, with my girlfriend, yeah.
So what actually happened?
Well, there was a little firm that was running around Southend, and me and Tony, as it goes, we fell out with a couple of them, and so they took it upon themselves to get us back. They never did touch Tony. He never really went to them clubs, you know. So I went there with my girlfriend because I was living in Southend at the time, and they were all there now. They were just like scattered about watching me. And my girlfriend said, "These guys are watching you." So I said, "Oh, let's go out the front. I'm not going to fight in here." So as I turned to get my coat, this guy punched me in the head, which was, nothing. So a big fight went on. There was kicking and punching and all this stuff. Then when it finished, Bruce, who was the head dominant, said to me, "Lee, go downstairs, mate. Your face is bleeding." So when I went there, you could see my teeth. You could see my teeth, and my ear was flapping, and my nose was wide open. And it cut me with a craft knife, because they found it in the bin outside. And so that's how comes that happened, really.
Wow. And then after that, because you got arrested as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know why they arrested me. Apparently, they were sitting outside the Dickens, and someone went up to them with a knife and sliced one of them across the belly and did the others. But it couldn't have been me, because I was in Southend at the time, which is spooky, but I was in Pizza Hut, having a pizza.
Are you sure it wasn't Pizza Express with Prince Andrew?
No, it was Peter Hut, a Pizza Hut, yeah. I kept the receipt with the time and everything on it. But it was a funny thing, because I was living in Kent Elms. There was a knock on the door about 6 o'clock in the morning, and these two little policemen standing going, we've come to arrest you for malicious wounding, blah, blah, blah. I went, "Okay, wait there." I went and got dressed. When I come down, I'd gone outside, there was an helicopter, armed response, dogs that cut the road off, and I think they wanted me to go out so they didn't shoot me. But anyway, I spent about 4 days in the cells because they kept renewing it. So we're going to have to renew it, because they needed more evidence. And then they searched the house, unknown to me, her brother was stealing from the army, and he had a big wardrobe full of grenades, machine guns. He was just nicking everything that he could from the...
As you do.
So I had the flying squad have to come and re-interview me, saying, we think, were you terrorists or something? I went, no, it ain't mine. I didn't know nothing about it. So they went, well, it's not your house. I went, no. So they had to research it again because I didn't give them permission because it weren't my place. And then they found this knife. And they said this was a knife that was used. So I said, I don't know nothing about it. You know, there was lots of knives in there, but they reckon this knife. And it went to court. Cut a long story short, but what happened was they said in their statement they knew me, but in the court they said they didn't. So it was section 1974, we can't try you, Mr. Chapman. I went, okay. So as I was leaving the police station, the cells, the policeman said to me, do you want your knife back? And I went to him, it's not mine. And he went to me, good job we didn't open up the case, innit? And I went, yeah. Like that, and it was all done. It was done and dusted.
You did that with me, with Gaffer. They give me the knife back. I said, it ain't mine.
Yeah, it was a nice knife as well. They kept showing it to the jury. I don't know. No, this is the. I didn't know. You know. But, yeah.
And obviously, if that hadn't have happened, and you'd have obviously got found guilty for a crime you didn't commit, what would you have been looking at time-wise?
Well, he said to me 18 to 22 years. But when I went to the court the last day, I took all my stuff. I got rid of my house. My daughter's mum I was living with at the time. I got rid of the house, put all my money in my girlfriend's account. And then they said, can you stand up, Mr. Chapman? Yeah, 17964, we can't try you. So like, I got in the car with my girlfriend. We never said a word, just looked at each other. And she went to me, how did you do that? And I went, I ain't got a clue. Apparently because they lied in their statement, and so that was that. Went home to hers. Didn't have nothing. So
what a nightmare. Have you got any horrific stories like that, Bernie?
Yeah. I mean, it's horrible. I've been stabbed about 6 times, but I was, my son, Vinny, sitting over there, had a head-on collision with a lorry. And his car was just destroyed. So one night, I'm outside the house, his car's outside the house, waiting for the insurance to get it. And I've heard these voices, so I've gone out, and it's all these 16-year-old kids who are looking at his car, right? So I went, all right, lads, and they're going, yeah, he's lucky to be alive, blah, blah. And then suddenly one of these lads went, there they are. And I looked, and there's these 2 guys about 35, coming across the car park, and you know, like big 14-inch kebab knives, what they cut the kebabs with, they've both got them, right? So they're going to these kids, what are you going to fucking do? I said, whoa, you don't need knives for kids, you know what I mean? Put the fucking knives down. He goes, do you want some? So I said, listen, don't threaten me with a knife, it ain't a good idea. So he stabbed me, and it went in my back and came out my chest, this knife. And fortunately, his mate run away when he saw what he'd done. So now I'm thinking I'm fighting for my fucking life here. I could feel the blood running down my back and down my legs while I'm fighting with him. And I'm thinking, I ain't going to last long here because I'm going to pass out. You know what I mean? I've lost so much. So I thought, I've got to do something drastic. So I hit him as hard as I could. And then he went on the floor and I just kept kicking him till he stopped moving. I thought, he's dead now. You know, I've killed him. So I've gone in the house and his mother was there. And she went, what the f***, because there's blood all over me. And I said, give me a drink, I'm going to bed. That's the last thing I remember. I collapsed and I woke up in the hospital. So I'm in the hospital feeling sorry for myself. And then they discharged me after a few days. And I went to my mates and the police rung me and they went, where are you? I said, I'm in Devon. I'm in Devon, why? Because we need to speak to you. I said, no. I ain't pressing no charges. I don't want nothing to do with it. No. We want to nick you. I said, fucking nick me. I got fucking stabbed, do you know what I mean? And they nicked me. I was on bail for 6 months. This bloke, he was in Cambridge in they've got like a special brain injury place. He was in there. He was alive, thankful. But I was on bail for 6 months. I didn't know what to do with me, do you know what I mean? He was just going to stab and he'd just come out of prison for stabbing his wife. Well, unfortunately, when the police associated with that Essex. It's been the bane of my life, honestly. I've got a video, and if you look on YouTube, it's the police interviewing me. And this cop is going, I know all about you. I've seen the film. I'm going, what? He's going, I've seen the film. Essex Boys. He goes, what the f*** that got to do with me? And even my sister's laughing. He's going, but that ain't real. You know that ain't real. Do you know?
I'll tell you what though, Bern, did you say to him, fuck Essex Boys, you need to see Rise of the Foot Soldier Origins. Vinnie Jones plays me.
Yeah. No, in Basildon, I'll be walking through Marks and Spencer's with the wife and kids when they were little on Saturday going shopping. And you hear, Mum, you c***, as I'm going up the escalator. You're fucking threw me out, you won't throw me out. Oh, it was just a nightmare.
I mean, that's the problem when you're working on a door. And a lot of, like when we was doing the raves back in the day, we'd always, like if we were working in London, we'd have a couple of people from London, but most of the people would be out-towners because I never wanted anybody to be targeted. And obviously, if you live in Basildon, you're on the door in Basildon, you know.
Don't live in Basildon, you exist. It was proper mental and really, really mental. I mean, head cases, you know.
And let's have some funny stories because we talked about being stabbed and going to jail for almost.
Well, Henry Swan, big fat Henry. Do you know Henry Lee?
Who?
Big Henry Swan.
Yeah. Swan.
He's like half traveller, isn't he? And he used to eat like raw. He used to have a packet of bacon in his inside pocket on the door, and he used to eat raw bacon. He's a fucking pig, right? So this lad's come in and caused trouble, and Henry's bit his ear off, right? So I thought, what the fuck are we going to do with this ear? So they put it in a glass of vodka, right, this ear. And it started swelling and expanding and everything else. And in the end, they fried it. They fried it.
You sound like Silence of the Lambs.
In the kitchen upstairs. And I don't know if it ever got put in anyone's burger, but I know they fried it. And, and I got nicked over Henry. And I came, well, I can't say it to you, Henry. And he goes, you'll be all right. Eventually they dropped the charges, but it was a fucking mental, absolutely mental. Like they hung this kid over it's as high as that, you know what I mean? And they've hung him over the balcony and they're punching him in the bollocks and he's been sick as they're punching him. Just for like real pests, you know, like real pests.
Oh, I'm glad I never went there.
Petrol bombed the doors, they drove a fucking car into the doors.
What about you, Lee? I mean, you got shit. I mean, for anybody that hasn't watched the last episode that me and Lee did, you got to share that story about the werewolf.
Well, I got arrested and sat in the cells, and I was just about to go to sleep when I heard this banging and crashing, screaming, howling, and what the hell? And you can all Google it. It's quite a good story. It was on Michael Aspel, strange but true. So about 2 hours later, my door opened and the cop was standing there. His shirt was ripped open, his shoes were missing, he had scratches on him. What happened was these girls running to the station and said, there's a gentleman out there who's trying to kill us. So they went out there, he took out 8 coppers and 2 of them left the actual police. What he does is, when it's a full moon, he crunches over, but Google it, he crunches over, his teeth come out and his hair all stands up on end. And so he literally jumped over the bushes, landed on these 2 girls, and they like managed to run away, but say when the police went out there, anyway, when they got her up the door, he said to me, we could have done with your help. And I went, yeah. And he told me what happened, and I went, okay. So that was
and when Lee told me this story, I thought he was winding me up. Here we go. Because I thought there can't be any fucking werewolves in Southend. But if you Google it, there is.
Google it.
Ow!
Oh, yeah. And same with the flying saucers. I used to let the army in the Ipswich, nightclub. The Marines and whatever. Anyway, there was a UFO that landed in the. They're saying it was the SAS that done it. They're saying this and that. But the actual colonel on that night, he came in and I went, how did the UFOs land in? And he went, can't even talk about that, Lee. Apparently, a UFO landed on the army base. They went out there, but you can Google that as well. It's all on Google's. But he was really like, oh no. So flying saucers, werewolves.
What about you? Bern, have you seen any flying saucers?
I've seen a lot of space cadets.
From it.
There was this lad, not Johnny Adair, the former terrorist, but his name was Johnny Adair. And he'd just come out of prison and he thought he was something special. He was all right till he got drunk, right? So I've gone to go into the bar and he's standing at the door and he's with this other lad and he's round with the manager and landlord. So I thought, I'll give him a minute, I won't get involved. So he's round and round. I said, and in the end I went, look, mate, I'm trying to get in there. I said, he ain't going to let you in, why don't you f*** off? And he went, well, what's he got to do with you? And he ended up having a fight with him anyway. And the police were called and I got took away. And he was then going around saying he was going to kill me. He actually rung up and told the receptionist to tell me he was going to kill me. So it was on my mind. And about 2 o'clock one morning, I've woke up, I thought, I've had enough of this, right? So I've got a big sort of bread knife, put it down my trousers, left the house, gone to his house. I thought, right, run up, kick the door in, run up the stairs and get him while he's in bed, right? So I've run at the front door, kicked the front door out and run up the stairs. And as I got to the top of the stairs, an old bloke there, right? He's gone, who are you? I goes, where's fucking Johnny? Because he lives next door, mate, right? So I've run down the stairs, kicked the fucking other door down, run up, I've met him halfway on the stairs. And next thing I hear, police sirens and people shouting, and I had to leave. But I've had a few of them embarrassing moments.
I'm just trying to think. There was a story you told me, Bernie, which I don't think we covered on the podcast. And it was I think it was when you was in South Africa. And you there was a building that because you got arrested when you was in South Africa, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Well, I've never been in court with a gang or with other people. I've always been on my own, and everything I've been to prison for, I would do again. The first one was I was in a bar and there was a girl and this lad was picking on her, and she come up to me because she knew my brother and said, this lad's threatening me. So I went over to him and he grabbed me by the sort of throat, shirt, and I gassed him in the neck, and I went to prison for that. And then the other one, I was arguing with someone in a pub and this lad come over and involved himself, so I gassed him in the head. And I thought, I ain't going back to prison. I can't be doing all this like, do you know what I mean?
I don't know if you noticed, but we've got plastic glasses here tonight.
So I thought, I'm going to go on a run, right? So I was living in South London at the time in Stockwell, and my mate said, I want to go to South Africa. This was 1985. I was like, I don't know where South Africa is, do I? So I said, right, we'll go. Right away we go. So we went out there and we were just tourists, right? We didn't have work permits or nothing like that. And he had this idea, because I'd just come out the British Army, and he said, we'll join the army. There's a war in Namibia, right? Sounds like a bit of a crack, you know what I mean? So I said, away we go. So we went to Pretoria, and there's this old general sitting there, and he said, have you got your... I said, no, we've only got holiday visas. And he said, well, you can't join the army. But I know this guy in Johannesburg is starting up this private police force, right? And he's looking for ex-military people. So we went to see him. He went, sound, you know, you can work for me. And at first they put us on this sales thing, but at the time Johannesburg was fucking out of this world, you know, like from and things like that. It was horrendous because the apartheid was just ending and there was real bad trouble out there. So eventually he put me on the door of this nightclub called the Bell and Napoli, but you had a revolver, a shotgun, and a baton, which was brilliant. So you pressed a button and it squirted gas out the end, right? So you talk to people and they go, and so these Portuguese lads came to the belly nappy turned out to be really boring, right? So we said to the guy we worked for, we don't want to be there, it's just boring. So he put us in this bikers club, right? And my mate wouldn't come with me because it was a rough place. So I was working there on my own, right? And then this New Year's Eve, the manager was an arsehole and he was always pulling this little gun on people. This gun's illegal out there, you know. And he said to me, throw everyone out who's in denim. It was like the whole fucking club, do you know what I mean? So I said, all right, fair enough. Started asking people to leave. And these Portuguese lads wouldn't leave. And they kicked the glass in the door and there was a big fight and, you know, one of them got hurt. And when I finished work, I went back to the flat where I lived, up in the lift about 13 floors, onto the landing. Who's there? The Portuguese lads going to this party. So I had a bit more trouble with them and I dragged this one in the lift. And they used to have these things called shambox. It's basically polythene tightly wrapped, and they're like whips. And if you hit someone with it, it's like a Stanley knife. It just opens them up. And I was whipping the fuck out of him in the lift going downstairs and put him out near the bins. Next morning, the police had nicked me. So they've asked me all these questions in this famous police station, or infamous, called John Foster Square. And it's infamous because when they take you up to the top floor to be interviewed, nearly everyone who goes up there gets this overwhelming desire to dive out the window and kill themselves, right? So police just throw them out the window. So if you Google it, you'll see it, John Foster Square. So I was shitting myself in there, but eventually they let me out. And then I had a bit more trouble with the Portuguese and I got nicked. So I was in prison. They took my passport off me. They took everything off me. And then I got bail and I was fucked. I thought, I can't be doing with staying in this country. So I thought, how am I going to get out? So drove to Pretoria, went in the travel agent, said I want the first flight to anywhere, to Europe. They got me one to Luxembourg. So then I went to the police station. I said, my sister's just married a South African and they're moving back to England. I've come over here to help her pack. And I think I've packed my passport and my flight leaves tomorrow. Showed him the ticket. He went, no problem. He filled out this A4 piece of paper which said I'd lost my passport, like reported it lost. Went to the embassy. I said, look, I've lost my passport. I've got my ticket. And they gave me another A4 piece of paper, which was a passport, but for only one journey. So I'm at the airport the next day thinking, shitting myself, thinking if these catch me here, you know what I mean, game over, you know what I mean. So eventually the plane took off and I landed and then I got the train up to the ferry terminal in Belgium or somewhere, and it was November, right? All lorry drivers on there carrying plastic bags full of spirits and cigarettes. I'm there with two suitcases, black as the ace of spades because I've been burnt in the cell, right? With sunburn. So I'm walking towards the customs with this fucking pathetic piece of paper and they saw me coming, they went, stop, stop. So they got the old bill and I was locked up. I was took to court the next day because I'd gone on the run. And then I was locked up in Stafford for 6-8 months or something. And that's when I ended up back in Basel. When I come out, that's when I went to Basel.
That's where all the fun started.
That's when all the fun started.
So, Lee, have you got a funny joke you could share with us all tonight?
Funny joke?
Yeah, because you're a funny guy, Lee. And
Right,
have you got a joke that you can share with us? No jokes? What about you, Bernie? You got a joke for us?
I've got one, but it's really insulting. So I'm looking at someone who doesn't mind a joke.
We're all
Can I tell it to your daughter, Lee?
I have got a joke.
Can I tell it to your daughter?
Of course you can.
I don't mean this, right? But have you got a pen?
Oh.
Rebecca, have you got a pen? Well, you better get back inside it before the farmer finds out you've escaped.
Ooh. Oh. No, put the chair down, darling, please. Put that chair down.
Sorry.
The knife's in my... Right, my joke. Gentleman takes this little pigeon into the pub, puts it on the table. Oh, that's it's dangerous. What do you mean it's dangerous? I'd kill anything. And this guy overhears and says, OK, I've got a crocodile. Put them outside, they can fight. See who's the toughest. Yeah. Put them outside, shut the door, banging, crashing, banging. Open the door, the birdie's going, and the crocodile's ripped to pieces. What? This other guy over here says, listen, I've got a lion. Nastiest lion. He goes, okay. Puts it out in the garden, shuts the door, bang, crash, bang. Open the door, lion's torn to pieces. He's going, blimey. Another guy over here says, listen, I've got the worst alligator. It's 20 saltwater one, 15 to 20 feet long, vicious. It's all right. Put them out there, banging, crashing and banging. Thinking, oh, it's taking a bit long. Crash, bang. Just goes quiet. Open the door. It's ripped to pieces, this crocodile, and the bird's got no feathers. So he picks him up, says, why in there? He goes, had to take my coat off for that one.
Do you know what? I haven't got any jokes, right? But we have got some great guests in here tonight. We got Lewis Clark at the front here, who was on our podcast last week. He's kindly come and joined us today. We've got Skits and Giggles, one of my TikTok pals. He's actually brought his monkey Bubbles along with him tonight. If you ever wondered what happened to Michael Jackson's monkey, he's here tonight. So anybody that wants to find out the lowdown on Michael, he's over there. PW Bespoke, just want to say a big shout out to you. Thanks for coming. Night Rose, all the boys, thanks for coming. Chris, all my pals, Stevie A, Michael, I've got to say a big shout out to David Lloyd crew. They're all in attendance, and everybody else that's come tonight. I mean, you know, we really appreciate you joining us. I'm going to bring the main man on now because he's going to... Are you going to tell us some jokes, or... You going to tell us some jokes? You got any funny jokes?
Yeah, I know a few.
Okay, wicked. Well, shall we get off and leave you to it?
Well, I'm going straight into the
Or do you want us to
auction,
stay here? All right.
Hey, are you all right with that?
I don't mind whatever you want to do.
So I think give you guys a chance to have a few minutes and a little bit of a leg stretch. We'll go into the auction. Give a big round of applause for our three special VIPs on the stage here. Let's hear it for Terry. Let's hear it for Bernard. And, of course, Mr. Lee Chapman.